There's a brewing storm in Nigeria surrounding Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB. Recent claims from activist Omoyele Sowore are raising eyebrows across the country. Sowore has alleged that the current administration under President Bola Tinubu is conspiring with the judiciary to potentially sentence Kanu to death or life imprisonment. This accusation has stirred up both anger and suspicion, as it touches on some very serious issues of justice, political power, and the treatment of dissent in Nigeria. Please do well to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also turn on the notification bell for more updates. Now, let's break this down. For those who might not be familiar, Nnamdi Kanu has been at the center of one of the most high-profile legal battles in Nigeria. Kanu was arrested in 2021, and his trial has since been a point of contention. The government accuses him of leading a movement that advocates for the secession of the southeast region, the Biafra area, which has a long history of separatist sentiment. However, Kanu's supporters argue that his actions are simply a call for the protection of his people, who have suffered from years of marginalization. But here's where things get serious. Sowore's latest comments allege that the government, along with certain elements within the judiciary, has already decided Kanu's fate. According to him, there's a plot to lock him up for life, or worse, to execute him. The argument here is that the case is no longer about justice. It's about sending a political message. This, Sowore claims, is a high-level conspiracy. If you think about it, this claim raises some real concerns about whether Nigeria's judicial system is truly independent or if it's being used as a tool for political retribution. What's at stake here isn't just Nnamdi Kanu's future, it's about the very integrity of Nigeria's judicial process. If the government is truly intervening in legal matters this way, it undermines public trust. The people of Nigeria and the international community could start to question whether the system is fair, whether it's being manipulated by those in power. That could have long-lasting implications, not just for Kanu, but for anyone who dares to stand up against the government. And that's the dangerous precedent this case could set. The timing of all this is also crucial. This is not just another trial. This is a political hot potato. The government is under pressure from various angles, including insecurity and ethnic tensions in the country. Kanu's case could easily be swept into this larger narrative where national unity is used as a justification for silencing dissent. And while Kanu is certainly not without controversy, what's at issue here is whether the process is fair. If the legal system is being manipulated, it sends a message to every Nigerian that no one is safe, regardless of their position in society or their political views. But let's be clear about one thing. There's still a lot we don't know. These are just allegations right now. While Sowore's claims are serious and deserve attention, the facts are still unfolding. The trial itself continues, with Kanu given the chance to either present his defense or not. In fact, his refusal to do so has been framed as an admission of guilt. This, some argue, could be the perfect excuse to justify any decision the court makes, whether it's life imprisonment or even worse. One of the most alarming aspects of all of these is the potential outcome. If Kanu is sentenced to life imprisonment or death, it would likely ignite protests, particularly in the southeast, which has a long history of support for Kanu and his cause. IPOB supporters are known for their strong commitment to his cause, and such a sentence would undoubtedly fuel further unrest. It's important to remember that this isn't just about Kanu anymore. It's about the larger implications for Nigeria's future. If this turns into a political execution, it could spark violence and deepen the divisions in the country. And here's the thing. The stakes are much higher than just a legal ruling. If Kanu is sentenced harshly, it could undermine the credibility of the Nigerian judiciary. The country already faces criticism for its human rights record, and this case could further tarnish Nigeria's reputation globally. The international community has been watching, and they are going to be looking very closely at how this trial unfolds. If Nigeria wants to be seen as a nation that respects human rights, it can't afford to have this case look like an orchestrated political decision. The situation is tense and everyone is on edge. We are waiting to see what will happen when the court finally makes its ruling. Will Kanu be given a fair trial? Or is this all part of a larger plan to eliminate a political enemy? The answer could very well define the future of Nigeria. And just to be clear, it's not just the Southeast that's watching. This case affects the entire country, and it affects everyone who values freedom of speech, fairness in the legal system, and the right to protest. The government has a responsibility to ensure that this process is transparent and that no one, no matter their political views, is persecuted for speaking out. The clock is ticking. And with every passing day, the pressure mounts on both the judiciary and the government. How long before this explosive situation reaches its boiling point? And if the government doesn't back down, how will the people react? We have to ask ourselves, what is the future of Nigeria if people feel that the government can silence them with impunity? How long will it take before we lose faith in the institutions that are meant to protect us? All right, let's keep this going. So, with everything we've discussed, you can see why this trial has become so significant, not just for Nnamdi Kanu, but for the entire country. The outcome could potentially shape the way Nigerians view their government, their legal system, and their freedom of expression moving forward. This isn't just about a single individual anymore. It's about the very core of what it means to live in a country that claims to be democratic. Now, let's look at the broader implications. Whether Kanu is guilty or not, the treatment he's receiving raises critical questions about how the Nigerian government handles dissent. The accusations that Sowore is making about a high-level conspiracy to sentence Kanu to death or life imprisonment paint a picture of a government willing to go to great lengths to silence its opposition. And even if those claims turn out to be untrue, the fact that they're being made at all speaks to a growing sense of distrust between the government and the people. It's easy to see why Sowore's comments are catching fire. For many Nigerians, the thought of the government conspiring with the judiciary to silence a political opponent is a deeply unsettling one, especially when you think about the historical context. In the past, the government has been accused of similar tactics, using the legal system as a weapon to stifle opposition. And this time, the stakes are even higher. Kanu is not just a political figure. He is a symbol for many people who feel marginalized by the central government. His fate is seen by many as a referendum on how the government views the people of the Southeast and, by extension, all marginalized groups across the country. So, with all of this happening, it's no surprise that tensions are rising. The Southeast has long been a stronghold of support for Kanu and IPOB. If the government follows through on its alleged plot, it could provoke a massive backlash. You can already imagine the protests, the demonstrations, and the calls for justice that will follow. And it's not just going to be limited to the Southeast. This could spark a nationwide movement, one that could challenge the very legitimacy of the government. People who have long been disillusioned with the state of things might see this as the final straw, and that could have far-reaching consequences, both politically and socially. But let's also think about the international community. If the Nigerian government goes ahead with a harsh sentence for Kanu, it's going to attract global attention. Human rights organizations, foreign governments, and international media outlets will be all over this. The Nigerian government will be forced to defend its actions on the global stage. And the question that the international community will be asking is simple. Is this really about justice, or is it about silencing a political opponent? And when we talk about the international community, we can't ignore the fact that many countries have already raised concerns about Nigeria's human rights record. If Kanu is sentenced in such a severe manner, it's going to raise even more alarms about the state of democracy in Nigeria. It could even lead to sanctions or diplomatic fallout, further isolating the country on the world stage. But what if the Nigerian government backs down? What if the allegations turn out to be false and the court proceedings continue with transparency and fairness? That would be a huge win for Nigeria and its judiciary. It would show the world that Nigeria is committed to upholding the rule of law, that no one is above the law, no matter their political beliefs. It would send a message that the government respects the legal process, even when it involves controversial figures like Nnamdi Kanu. The challenge for the Nigerian government is clear. They need to demonstrate that the trial is fair and impartial. They need to prove that this isn't a politically motivated case. If they fail to do so, the consequences could be dire, not just for Kanu, but for the country as a whole. Because once trust in the legal system is lost, it's incredibly difficult to rebuild. And so, we wait. The clock is ticking, and with each passing day, the pressure mounts. Nigerians are watching closely, waiting to see whether the government will take the path of fairness or whether it will choose to silence its critics once and for all. I want to know what you think. Is this just a case of political power playing out in the courts, or are we looking at something much more sinister? Leave a comment below. Let's talk about it. And while you're here, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss any updates. Trust me, you want to stay in the loop on this one. I'll be back with more, but for now, stay informed and stay safe. And as always, let's keep the conversation going.